we have a very, very powerful new moon in the sign of Scorpio. So in today's video, I'm going to take you on a journey into the powerful lessons that Scorpio teaches us and what I think this new moon is really bringing up for most people. It's going to be a very powerful video. As always, the way that my videos are structured, you want to watch the first half of the video because that is where all the tea is. That is where the transformation happens, my love. This may be a video that you want to come back to and watch throughout this week because it is such a powerful week in the cosmos. This is going to be huge. With that being said, welcome back, my sexy aliens, and welcome if you are new here. We are entering the depths of the underworld of Scorpio this week, and you are likely going to be feeling it somewhere in your lives. Now, I know there can be a lot of fear and mystery that comes up when we're dealing with Scorpio energy, but I truly have the feeling and the belief that this Scorpio new moon is a much needed event, and it is kind of an ending and a beginning all in one that really can shift timelines in our favor. And I know that sounds very woo-woo, but I'm gonna bring it down to earth for you as practical as possible because I truly believe that this new moon in Scorpio is really creating some big energetic changes within our lives and can really release a lot of pent-up energy that has been stored within us, going on in the background, and taking a lot of our energy, taking a lot of our power. So let's go ahead and bring the chart up on the screen and get into this bad mamma jamma. Alrighty, so as you can see here, we have the Scorpio new moon, which is when the sun and the moon get together in the same sign, okay? And they're getting together in the sign of Scorpio, which is a feminine water sign ruled by a masculine planet. So this is very different feminine energy. This is not like soft, flowy, goddess energy. This is like dark feminine energy and shadow feminine energy. There's different layers to Scorpio energy, and Scorpio in general, with it being a water sign ruled by Mars in the middle of fall when things are dying. This really brings up the internal emotional conflicts that we have to darker and more intense experiences. So the way that I want you to think about this, okay, is that outside and here in the northern hemisphere in the middle of fall, nature is dying. We see a decay process happening. Now, this process happens within ourselves, metaphorically, spiritually, and emotionally as well. Now, what happens though a lot of the time is that we look at nature and we resist this decaying process. We resist this intense emotional death process that is happening in nature, just as we resist this within ourselves. And that's why Scorpio is such an important sign, because it shows us where we have intense emotional entanglements and conflicts internally and externally in our lives. So that can look like the darker, intense, more deep emotions and what is going on there with them. So that can look like stress, pain, negativity, resentment. It's like Scorpio as a water sign oftentimes deals with like underground pipes, underground sewage, wells, caves, water in caves, right? These like water that's in like a swamp, like the dark, murky water. And so oftentimes what's happening in the sign of Scorpio is it's showing us where our own internal pipes have gotten clogged, where water has been standing still and gotten stagnant and gross and nasty. So where emotions in this instance within ourselves has been standing still, gotten clogged, stagnant and nasty within us. So, and it's not that emotions themselves are nasty, right? It's that when we haven't properly dealt with certain feelings because we've made ourselves wrong for those feelings, then they get stuck within us and they create some kind of block, or they create this like clog within us. And so this can really, Scorpio's a sign, really can show us where we have stuck fear, stuck pain, stuck shame, stuck grudges, stuck secrets, stuck resentment, things that are going on behind the scenes underneath the surface that we must purge, that we must feel to heal. It's like the things that haunt us from the shadows. And that can literally look like, our own inner demons. That can look like things that we have not dealt with from the past, things from the past that are, still going on within us, because really at the true essence of Scorpio, it is about where our power lies. It's about our emotional, energetic power. And whatever is stuck within us is what is taking our power, what, not even taking it, but what we're feeding it, right? So it's like where we're outsourcing our power to either old feelings, old emotions, old past situations, other people, other situations, where we're outsourcing our power in some way. And that's why Scorpio oftentimes gets kind of tied into resources. And that's why it's the opposite of Taurus, where Taurus is kind of about the actual earthly, physical, abundant resources. Scorpio is about the internal resources that we have, where we have power, but we are outsourcing it to this old feeling, this old thing we feel shame about, this old secret, this old pain, this old stress, this whatever is happening within us where there's some kind of emotional conflict. Mars ruling a water sign, a feminine water sign. Okay, so what's so crazy about this new moon in Scorpio and why it's a powerhouse of a new moon is the other aspects that it is making at this time. So right around the time this week that this new moon is forming, which it is exact on the 19th, it's also in a grand water trine with some of these really big dog planets that we've been experiencing water trines with, where we've been really healing some old emotional paradigm within our lives. There's been like a coming together. There's been like a emotional release process that's been happening over the series of the last couple months. Plus with the North Node in Pisces as well, there's like some kind of like all these like loose ends are kind of coming together, being tied up. All of this emotional stuff is coming to the surface so that we can purge it, so that we can feel lighter, so that we can shed our skin. So this is such a powerful new moon, and it's happening right as Mercury, which has been retrograde, is also coming back into Scorpio and going to basically be conjunct this new moon in Scorpio. And so we have like so many things happening here that's like, hey, we are going back and almost like rewriting a story from the past is what this feels like. So this feels like redemption. This feels like resurrection. This feels like a reclamation. This feels like emotional liberation, because not only is this new moon in Scorpio doing all of this other stuff, but it's also creating a opposition with Uranus and Taurus that's just moved back into the sign of Taurus to basically finish up what it started there the last several years, since like 2018. And Uranus is more concerned about awakening, breaking free, liberation, revolution. And so it's like there's something here that is like a new beginning, but also being rewritten that we're breaking free from. There's like a massive emotional breakthroughs can start happening this week, and they may feel deep sometimes. They may feel triggering at first, but if you're getting triggered, it's showing you where you're not yet free. Okay, so I really want you to think about that. If there's something in your life, either this week or that's been happening, that's been going on recently, that's been triggering you, it's showing you where you're not yet free because you're outsourcing your power to that specific instance or that specific situation or that specific feeling or that specific thing, whatever it is. So this is like an ayahuasca purge, you know, like how they give you ayahuasca. Like I went and did ayahuasca back in 2019, and they give you the drink, and the drink tastes like some stagnant old rotten tea that's been sitting there for ages. It does not taste well at all. It immediately makes you want to throw up. It's like bitter. So it already just makes you not want to keep it down, but also it's like designed to purge your system. Like that is very Scorpionic. It's like, what have we been taking in that is no longer aligning with our internal system? It's clogging up our pipes, so to say. It's like, you know, what's sitting at the bottom of our well that needs to come out. And so a lot of people may experience like either emotional purges, physical purges, like throwing up, like getting sick and throwing up randomly, or, you know, things like this. Like you may find that there's something that is like being purged within your life. There's something that it's like tying up some kind of loose end in your life. And so this is really about, you know, also facing fears that have held us back for however long, facing old demons, so to say, things that have haunted us, things that have, you know, stuck with us that we've been trying to ignore, push, sweep under the rug, or not deal with for however long. And so this is like, and I mean, we've been like doing this kind of work on and off for the last several years. Like we had, you know, the South Node moving through Scorpio back in like 2022 timeframe. So this is like kind of the ending process of something that has been started previously. So this isn't like, I really don't, even though it's a new moon, it's with Mercury retrograde. It's with Uranus, it's opposing Uranus retrograde. It's trining Jupiter and Saturn and Neptune retrograde. So it's like there's still a past element here. There's something being like understood in a new way from the past is how I see this right now. So the other part of this is like we can heal. Like we often think that our past creates who we are now, but it's actually who we are now, because our power is always in the present moment. It's actually who we are now that creates our past. So it's how we feel about our past and how we're thinking about our past now, right? So if we have certain thoughts or issues or lingering attachments or lingering feelings that haven't been resolved or processed or felt about the past, then that's where we have like an invisible tie to the past that's still, you know, out. Again, it's taking our power. It's like our power is being outsourced to that tie. I was talking to a client recently, and I was explaining something similar to her, and she said it's like having open windows on your phone and how it takes energy in the background, and so you have to go and like clear out the windows. It's kind of like that, more of like an Aquarian like logical way to think about it, but like it's kind of like that, but like emotionally, like where do we still have emotional attachments, emotional entanglements, emotional knots with certain things from the past, or with certain things that are affecting our current reality now in some way, shape, or form. And so it's like by healing these things, we heal our past. And this is so true because like we can exist in multiple timelines, okay? And that's why I feel like this is a timeline shifting kind of experience here that we're moving into with this new moon, because this new moon can cause us to change the way that we're looking at our past, which then changes the way that we're looking at our present, which then changes the way that we interact with our future. And so it's like when we can actually make peace with our past and make peace with the skeletons in our closet, like that is where everything shifts in our lives. And so this is so much about our internal resources, energy, emotion, our psychological subconscious realm, where we're outsourcing our power. Because whatever you fight, you feed. And that's a huge like Scorpio lesson, Mars ruling a feminine water sign. Whatever you fight, you feed. So if you're fighting shame, if you're fighting feeling unworthy, if you're fighting somebody and your resentment with them, if you're fighting yourself, if you're fighting other people, like you're feeding that's where your power is being outsourced to. And so Scorpio is so much about personal power. And what we have to do oftentimes to find our personal power again is we have to look at where we're blaming other people. And there was like this quote, I don't know if it exists or not because I thought it was genius. It just like came through to me because I thought of the term, which I've thought of this term before, that shame is basically self-punishment. We shame ourselves because we think, oh, if I let myself off the hook for this one, then I'm just going to do it again, or I'm just not going to learn the lesson. So we like punish ourselves by shaming ourselves. So shame is self-punishment. Blame is punishing other people. And this is where oftentimes things get tangled up, because when we hold grudges, when we're resentful, where we have, we're blaming another person, we're saying until they change, I can't change or feel differently. And that is a denial of your own personal power, your own personal autonomy, your own personal, ability and capabilities. Honestly, it's insulting to yourself when you do that. And so, but on the other end, shame is like a self-punishment. It's what we use to punish ourselves for something that we feel not good about, because either society told us it wasn't good, or because we feel like maybe we didn't act in alignment with our integrity in a situation, or maybe we, truly didn't do anything wrong. We don't feel good about it because of the story that we're telling ourselves. And so we're kind of dealing with like this Scorpio new moon with like old emotions, old fears, past stuff, but also like old versions of us can really be coming up around this time. And until we forgive those old versions of us and have some kind of self-compassion, then they still continue to haunt us. They still continue to be the monsters under our beds or the skeletons in our closets. And we can't continue carrying these heavy weights anymore, because there's so many different levels to Scorpio energy. The first one is we go through hard shit and we've got to harden up, and it forces us to find our power by hardening. And then because we harden, we are no longer naive, and we learn not to trust as easily, and we learn to be more discerning, and we learn to protect ourselves, and we learn to, close ourselves off and not be so easily accessible to people. But then on the healing journey, if you continue from that point, you realize that hardening up that you had to do, that exterior armor, is now the limit. It's now holding you back. And now you can't trust anybody, and now you're always skeptical of people, and now you can't really enjoy your life because that identity that you once had to mold into to protect yourself through those really hard times in your life is now becoming the very thing that is holding you back. Your attachment to your darkness, your attachment to your pain, your attachment to your suffering and what you've been through, your attachment to your past is now becoming the very thing that is keeping you where you're at from progressing. And so at some point, we've got to face this, and in return have certain revelations. We've got to forgive. We've got to have certain epiphanies. This isn't all dark here though, because if this was just Scorpio energy, this would be a lot different. This is an energy with Jupiter and Cancer, Saturn and Neptune and Pisces. We have this huge grand water trine here. And so, Pisces is setting us free. Pisces is releasing the tension, the emotion, and easing into, being soft again, finding that purity within. And so there's so much here that is helping us forgive, because that's really what Pisces helps us do. Pisces is about self-compassion and compassion for others and finding forgiveness and opening the heart again, rather than keeping ourselves trapped in hell or in a prison with shame or blame. Blame keeps us trapped in a prison because we're being the victim. If we have someone else to blame, then we're the victim, and that gives us an excuse to do nothing and stay trapped. So this is such a powerful energy because it's bringing up what has been just outside of our view, what's been going on underneath the surface. And this needs to happen because whatever we hide, we give power to. So when shame finds its power in the darkness. I always say it finds its power in you hiding it and you giving it power. You giving the situation you feel shame about or the thing you feel shame about power. And so it gets its power from you, right? It's like a dementor, it gets its power from you. And so where have we been keeping ourselves imprisoned or keeping ourselves trapped or keeping ourselves in pain or in some old version of us that's not really who we are anymore? It's we're no longer who we were, but we're not maybe who we're coming into just yet. And so we're in this in-between space. And this is the time where we truly start to learn how to alchemize the things that we've been through. Because here's the thing, Mars, the ruler of this new moon, is in Sagittarius. And so once Mercury retrogrades back into Scorpio, this is going to be rewiring our perspective, the stories that we've been telling ourselves about the shame, the pain, the past, etc. Then the sun's going to move into Sagittarius not long after this new moon, a day or two after this new moon. And that is when we start seeing the bigger picture. So all that's going to be left in Scorpio right after this new moon is Mercury. So it's we're wrapping our minds around something. It's we're rewriting something. We're rewriting the story. It's we're going back through the story of our lives and being you know what? This, I thought, was from my perception, a really bad chapter. This was when I dropped my power. This was where it all crumbled. This is where I started looking at myself differently. This was where I started thinking oh, poor me, or, people are not going to like this chapter. People are not going to like this part of me. But what would it look like to make friends with this part of me? Because in the realm of Scorpio, we have enemies and we have friends. And in the rule of whatever you fight, you feed. If you fight your enemies, you're feeding them. You're giving them power. You're saying that they're powerful and that's why you have to fight them. So when you take your power back and you decide to become friends with the very things that you're fighting, alchemy happens. Alchemy has been something like this like law of Scorpio, this energetic code of Scorpio of alchemy and turning your pain into power and owning your shame, claiming your shame and not hiding from it anymore, has been literally laced throughout my whole entire life. I've had like people that have tried to use things against me many times throughout my life, and I'm, you know, I have Mars in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, you know, my IC in Scorpio, like I've got quite a few things in Scorpio, so I've had a lot of Scorpionic lessons throughout my life, and I've had many people try to like, you know, use my pain or use my past or use certain things against me in my life that I felt bad about or shameful of or whatever, and every single time I've had this lesson's been laced throughout my life. If I claim it, the very thing that they're trying to use against me, the very thing they're trying to hurt me with, the weapon, which I'm giving them the weapon because I feel shameful about the thing. So by me feeling shameful about it, it becomes a weapon that I use against myself and that others can use against me. But if I take the weapon back and I make it no longer a weapon and I own it, I claim it, it can no longer be used against me. So a really great example of this was even from a very young age, I used to literally watch the end of 8 Mile so many times. And like, I just remembered this recently and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect for this. But I used to watch the end of 8 Mile so many times because I thought it was genius, like literally genius, that in that last rap, in the last rap battle, in the very last round, he raps against himself. So he takes the power away from the other guy, raps against himself, so that the other guy has nothing against him anymore because he just owned it. He just claimed it. And like, that was always so like to me, like I was like, that is, oh my God, that is genius. And this lesson has been laced throughout my entire life so much that I've created a quote with it, which is take the stones that they threw at you and build your castle with them. Like, take the cards that you've been dealt and build your house of cards with them. Like, build something extraordinary with them. Build something badass with them to show that it's possible. That's how you alchemize. You take the shit that's been thrown at you and you turn it into gold. And then, boom, it cannot be, it's no longer something that can be used against you. And I remember this, like, very specific moment, you know, one of the moments where I had this lesson in my life. It was like when I first started YouTube. I had a different channel that's not there anymore, but when I first started YouTube, I had like someone like literally threatening to expose me. I had been honest about my past, and that was the only reason that they knew about my past, where like I was an addict, but I was, you know, like I was still like embarrassed about it, you know, like I was honest about it, but I was still embarrassed about it. So it still had power over me. And this person all of a sudden starts trying to like threatening to expose me and trying to go back and like find things about me and was like gonna expose me. And I remember I was talking to, you know, a partner that I had at the time, and he said something so, again, genius to me. I was telling him about it, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he looked at me and he said, take the power back. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, expose yourself. And I was like, oh my God, that's genius. Like, you're right. Like, I'm scared to death to do that. But I just felt within my being, like, that is the thing. That's the thing. Like, that's what I need to do. So I did. I did this whole video basically and exposed myself. And it like completely took the power, and he ended up not, the person that was threatening to expose me ended up like just leaving me alone. And so it's like, this is what we do in Scorpio energy. Like, this is the power of the true alchemy of like taking things, old chapters, old versions of you, but creating them in a different way, no longer viewing them as bad, no longer viewing these emotional time periods as you went through as like, oh my God, like, you know, that's such a horrible thing, and I'm so embarrassed by it, and I'm so this and I'm so that. The fact that you're embarrassed by it already in itself says that that's not who you are at your core. So why are you making it who you are at your core? Just because you did something one time, or just because you stepped out of line, or you colored out of the lines one time, like, does not mean that it has any bearing on like who you actually freaking are as a person or your worth. And this is what we make shame mean so much of the time. I'm not worthy because I did X, or because of Y, or because of the situation that I'm in, or because whatever the case may be, which is so silly when we actually get down to the bottom of it. It's like, how does any physical thing outside of yourself, how does any action that you've taken, any words you've said, any situation that you've been in, how can that ever possibly take away from your divine worth, your divinity as a human being? It's been there since the day that you were born, and nothing has changed other than your perception. Nothing has changed other than what you, the rules, the lines in the sand that you created, or that society, that you were conditioned by society to think of on what made someone worthy and what didn't. You picked up these lines, you picked up these limits. Only up until this point you're worthy, after that you're not. That's BS. That's you know, our human, and as humans we have this human condition, this like human, you know, deep human shadow and condition of shame and unworthiness. And shame is not necessarily a bad thing. I do think it is the lowest frequency that we can be in as humans, because it does feel like you're living in hell when you're in it. When you feel deeply shameful for just who you are, or your life, or something that you did, and it's like keeping you stuck. And I've been there so many different times throughout my life, so trust me when I say I truly, fully understand the experience of shame in so many different ways, so many different layers. But it does also teach us so many things. And when we can own the very thing that we feel shameful about, when we can own the very things that, and claim the very things that we feel not great about, we're owning and taking ownership back of those parts of us, and they're no longer in conflict. We resolve the internal emotional chaos within. Mars ruling the feminine water sign of Scorpio. And that is really what the Scorpio New Moon, I think, is going to be about in a lot of ways. But it's bringing a lightness to it because of Neptune and Saturn and Pisces. It's bringing in this like redemption, this you know, this healing process, this healing journey. It's sucking the poison out of us. Whatever's been poisoning our minds, our energies, our bodies, it's like, this is the time to release it. And we release it by having self-compassion, by allowing ourselves to have these emotional breakthroughs, which may look like boiling water at first. So it may look like something gets triggered and then it just builds and builds and builds until it boils over, which is very much needed. So we may have some like emotional breakdowns that lead to emotional breakthroughs. And that's what's super important here. I mean, this new moon is creating this kite with Uranus and Taurus. And it's like, this is like kind of the last glimpse of like whatever it's been that's been kind of lurking within the shadows, within ourselves, within our lives, that we've got to face. Because the more that it lives in the darkness, the more that it lives underneath the surface, the more power it gains. Because the more that we hide it, the more that we don't face it, the more that we don't look at it, because we're scared, that fear is feeding it. It's like, again, a pipe that just leads to it. So like your embarrassment, your fear of it, your pain of it, your shame of it, your blame of it, your whatever it is, whatever your emotional relationship is to a past thing or a certain thing in your life now or whatever, it's like creating this pipe to it, and then that's where your energy is going. And until you unclog the pipe, until you heal the thing, then you know, it just keeps going. So it's like we've got to truly see here where we're creating this background stuff because of old versions, old pain, old stuff. So this is so huge. And as we move out of this, you know, Scorpio energy, we're going to be, you know, moving into Sag. And this is where like this new story gets to be created. This is where we get to start seeing the bigger picture, seeing the bigger vision. You know, it's like Libra is like who, and who is often like what's behind the mask, what's behind the ego, who's mirroring something back to us. What are they mirroring back to us? Like, who am I, you know, in terms of this person, and who am I in terms of that person, and who is it that they're mirroring back to me? Scorpio's like, what? So Libra's like who, Scorpio's like what? Where it's like, okay, what's underneath the surface? What is getting mirrored? What is getting pulled up? What is still lurking in the shadows here? Sagittarius is like, why? Why did it all happen? Why did I go through that transformation? Let's contemplate. Maybe instead of my breakdown, it was actually my breakthrough. Maybe instead of, oh, this was, you know, my fall from grace, this was actually my launch pad to success. Maybe instead of, oh, I'm just another statistic and poor me, it's actually like what I do from here and what I make happen from here. What is the story that I want to tell myself about it? Because at the end of the day, we are the author, we are the writer of our stories, we are the writer of our lives. And so it's like, what do I want to make it all mean? What have we made certain things mean? That's what it really all comes down to. It's like that old pain, the old past stuff, the old whatever it is, you've made it mean something. You've made it mean like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not okay, or I don't belong, or, you know, I'm a bad person, or whatever the case may be. And so it's like when we untangle, first when we feel the emotions, we can start untangling the meaning, and we start having breakthroughs mentally as well, which Mercury retrograde back in Scorpio is going to really lead us to. And so we're unraveling, like, it's almost like we're dissecting, you know, like we're dissecting old stuff from an old version of us that's been creating certain misalignment currently in our lives, and it ties into some kind of bigger, huge story, some bigger, huge pattern, some bigger, huge, like, emotional paradigm, healing paradigm that we've been going through, and that's happening right now, and that's been going on for like however long, that's been affecting us for like a huge chunk of our lives because of this huge grand water trine that's involved in this. Like, this is a huge time. This is like a full circle moments. Like, it's like a massive sober psychedelic trip that we're going through right now, where things are just tying together, and like it's like old versions of us are coming up to be forgiven. But if we're judging them, we're judging ourselves, and then we're punishing ourselves by doing that and holding ourselves back and keeping ourselves stuck and stagnant. So love is the answer here. Self-compassion, love, compassion for others. Learning to love these old versions of you rather than disown them or be at odds with them, and like, you know, make them into your enemy, because they're not. Let me know if you have stayed this far down below. Comment down below. What do we want to do for this one? Comment down below, Wicked Alien, if you stayed. If you stayed until now, you know what I mean? If you stayed until here, I appreciate you so much. Let me know what you got from this video. Let me know if it helped you. And also, if you want more of this on like like, you know, on a much more like frequent basis, definitely join my membership. The lowest tier is literally $33 a month. You can cancel at any time. You get access to so much when you sign up. You get access to like a library of some of my like most amazing classes, and also tons of other stuff as well. You get weekly, multiple times a week, like voice transmissions where we really crack the codes of the current astrology and stuff as well. And then there's also a higher tier where you get even more, where you get really like transformational programs that really use these codes of these different seasons, of these different months, of these different signs, to help you really actually truly change your life, instead of just like, you know, understanding them on a logical level, but never really actually changing with them. And so if that's something you're interested in, click the link down in the description below. I also have a new free experience coming called Reclamation. And this is such a huge experience. You definitely want to be there. It's literally perfect. It's like, I really truly believe it's being channeled because of the Scorpio energy and the Sag energy. So it's pretty much about like how to turn this level of your life into a launch pad. You know, if there's one thing that I have done over and over and over again, it has been like using rock bottoms as a launch pad, like learning how to truly come back into alignment with the level that I'm at now, and then using it as a way to like just completely launch. Like I have changed my life in very short amount of time, very drastically. And so it's really about like taking the things that you've been through, similar to what we've talked about in this video, but it's so much more in this class, but taking the things that you've been through and creating, no matter how dark, no matter how disruptive, hard, difficult, etc., but really like creating magic with them. Like if you feel like it in your bones that you are here to do something big on this planet, like if you feel like you are here to make some kind of difference, like this is the class for you. I did a 2-day series called Reclamation back in 2023, and this is going to be the prequel of it, something that really comes before that series. And so if you're interested, sign up with the link down below. It's completely free. So if you'd like kind of, you know, if you'd like to be involved in that, definitely sign up below. I love you guys, and let's get into what this means for your rising sign. Alrighty, Scorpio risings, welcome to your new moon horoscope. This is a really, really big new moon for you. And if you missed the first half, you really need to watch that, because we went really, really deep into your sign and just like likely your whole life story in a lot of ways. I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart, so I'm very familiar with the codes of Scorpio. I've been cracking them my whole life. So anyway, this new moon is so special for you. And I think what it's really bringing up for you, the vibe that I'm getting, is it's really bringing up old places to do with your personality, and where you have had a lack of love, had a lack of self-love. I mean, you have Venus here in your sign. You're going to have Mercury retrograding back in your sign. The sun will be moving out of your sign shortly after the new moon on Wednesday and into your second house. But I think it's like you're going through a massive time right now where you're seeing where your values, your priorities, your visions for what you actually want out of life and what you actually value, and where you put your energy, and how that's like all kind of coming back to who you are, your identity, your personality, your vitality, and how you feel about yourself. And so this new moon is really bringing up this kind of like, you know, epitome of this cycle, or some kind of like cycle where it's like time for some kind of breakthrough. It's time for you to almost rewrite the past, let go of some kind of old version of yourself, or let go of some kind of old perception and emotional attachment to an old version of yourself, I should rather say. I'm really getting like resurrection vibes, like resurrecting yourself with all of the pieces, you know, like the way I'm seeing this is like, you are who you are. You've had versions of yourself that have been versions of who you were. I almost feel like this is a full circle moment where it's like all those versions come together to create something new. And it's like you take, you know, the best pieces of those other versions, you forgive and you let go of the ones that no longer serve you, and you resurrect into something new. You reinvent yourself into something new. This is a time of reinvention. It's the time of like, you know, being kind of like your own mad scientist with yourself and your identity, you know, like, and allowing yourself to love the parts of you that maybe you've been shaming, punishing, not looking at, hiding, being secretive about, repressing, the parts of you that you've maybe kept quiet or kept caged, and it's like time to release those parts. Time to find the power in your pain and up level in terms of who you are, your beliefs, and your heart and what you love. This is such a huge time for you right now as a Scorpio rising. This is like a reinvention of you, but also not only that, like how you view relationships and stuff as well, with Uranus back in your 7th opposing this new moon. So it's like an ending and beginning all in one, like a rewriting of the past to create something new is how this new moon really feels. So let me know down below, Scorpio risings, if that's really landing with you. I'd love to hear your feedback. Comment down below, sexy Scorpio rising. If you are not in my membership this month, you are missing out. Like, we are going really, really deep into the sign of Scorpio and the codes there. And so make sure to sign up. If once you do sign up, make sure to check your email, because that's where all the links will be. If you don't receive it, reach out to me. But all the links will be there for you to access the membership once you sign up. Also, if you are looking for a free event right now, I'm doing a free event called Reclamation. It is so big. You'll definitely want to be a part of that. It is also to do with all of these energies, so you can sign up for free down below. And if you missed the beginning, go back and watch that, because you're missing out on a lot. Okay. Moving on to Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, this new moon is happening in your 12th house. Spooky, spooky. So this is definitely a time where it is like, this is the skeletons in your mother effing closet. All right. Like, this is really like the monsters under the bed, the demons that need to be exorcised out of you. Like, this is like, what is haunting you? What is haunting you that is creating an immense amount of pressure on yourself? That is creating, you know, how you view yourself, because the ruler of this new moon, Mars, is in your sign. So it's like whatever's going on subconsciously behind the scenes is creating conflict with who you are. And so it's like, you've got to deal with this. Venus is in your 12th, meaning you've got to get down with the sickness. You've got to make friends with your monsters, then they don't own you, you know? It's like, you've got to learn to give love to the places within you that are feeling lack. You've got to learn to fill those voids with love rather than shame, fear, pain, regret, you know, whatever emotions you're holding on to. So this is like really deep seated subconscious psychological stuff coming up for you around this time. Maybe you've been having nightmares. Maybe you've been having inner turmoil and internal, you know, chaos, like thoughts coming out of nowhere that feel like out of your control, or feelings coming out of nowhere. This is a purge. So it's like all of this stuff is coming up, not to like scare you or knock you out of balance, but it's like, hey, this is a part of you that wants to also receive love. Love is one of the highest frequencies. So when we can learn to love, like, these parts of us that feel pain, suffering, not good enough, etc., that's when we set ourselves free. This also could be bringing up something to do with how you've been going about your day-to-day routines, your job, your health, your wellness, your lifestyle, and where you need some more grounding in that, where you need to change things up or get back to a certain way of doing things that really revolutionized not only your exterior health and your physical health and your physical wellness, but also your internal wellness. So it's like, if things are chaotic internally and behind the scenes, like, how is that equating to your physical life? Or are you just so worried about your physical life that you're trying to make everything look good externally, but internally you're chaos? It's a mess. So as a Sag rising, this is a massive time of healing. This is like activating your 12th, 8th, 4th house, things from the past, 100%, things that it's like all the deep-seated stuff throughout your life where you've been carrying baggage, where you've been carrying old stuff. It's like this is bringing it up for you to feel it, for you to get vulnerable with yourself, and for you to let it go so it no longer keeps controlling you from behind the scenes. It's like showing you where you've been outsourcing your power. and showing you that the power is within. So this may be a time where you feel the need to withdraw, where you feel the need to step back, where you feel the need to sit in silence, to give yourself space to truly feel whatever this is that's going on here, whatever these things are. Your dreams, nightmares could be like also giving you symbols, you know, a lot of symbols right now, a lot of showing you what needs to be integrated on a subconscious psychological level, on an emotional level, on an energetic level. Some of you could even be having like paranormal experiences, and I know that sounds weird, it's just something I'm kind of feeling, and I'm going to tell you this story really quick. I have had a series of different paranormal experiences throughout my life. I used to literally feel like I was just haunted, like these paranormal entities would just find me and haunt me, and that was just that. Every time I like moved into a new place or moved into a new home, it was like either something would follow me or I would encounter something new, and so it was just like, when I had my spiritual awakening, I started viewing this a bit differently. I started viewing this as a gift. And it showed me a lot. It showed me that these entities that were haunting me were not always all bad, number one. And when they did feel scary or creepy or eerie, it was because I was giving it the power. It was taking my power because I was giving it power. How was I giving it power? By fearing it. How was I giving it power? By being paranoid about it. How was I giving it power? By like feeling like, you know, constantly looking over my shoulder, constantly feeling like something's there. And the moments where I stopped doing that and I started laughing anytime I would feel it or see it or whatever, and I started, like, I just stopped giving it fear, I stopped giving it power, like it literally would shift everything and then it would just go away. And so that's been my experience with it. But you can take that into other things too. It doesn't even just have to be paranormal experiences. It can be like, you know, things that feel really heavy and dark and like, you know, can feel hard to laugh about. They feel scary, you know, but it's like, can you find a sense of love, acceptance, a lighter frequency to bring to it, you know? And sometimes you've got to just feel. Sometimes you've got to feel the darker stuff and you can't just bring a lighter frequency to it. It's just not, you're not there. And that's when it's like, okay, I've got to open Pandora's box to be able to have the higher perspective. I've got to have that emotional breakthrough by allowing myself to truly feel it, cry it out, like purge it. And then I can have that like higher perspective, that higher vision, that higher experience of it. So that is what I'm saying for you as a Sag rising. Let me know down below how that resonated. Comment down below. Sexy Sag rising. If you stayed till here, I appreciate you guys. Alrighty, moving on to Capricorn rising. So for Capricorn risings, this new moon in Scorpio is happening in your 11th house. And so I really think that this is a time, if you're a Capricorn rising, about friends, social lives, your social life, your social atmosphere, your social connections, networking, groups of people, different social, you know, situations that you usually are involved in or find yourself in. This could be like anything from a work event to a yoga studio to a birthday party to a concert to a group of friends you're hanging out with to a group on the internet that you're very involved with that's very interconnected, like any kind of social atmosphere. So you could really be finding that there's been a lot coming up with those things lately. Now, with Mercury coming back and retrograding here, this really tells me as a Capricorn rising that you are maybe rethinking some of your acquaintances or some of your social connections, social relationships with people. You're wondering if they are really aligned. There could be some trust issues that's coming up here with friends, with friend groups, with social interactions, social, you know, groups of people that you usually belong to. There could be like, you know, do we have common values? Do we have common things that we're passionate about? Like the way that I kind of see this is like, and this is just an example, so take what resonates, leave the rest. It may not relate with all of you guys, but let's say, especially with Uranus now back in Taurus, okay, and this grand water trine happening with your 3rd, 7th, and 11th house, let's say that you're like, you know what, I really am starting to value like pleasure and quality experiences, you know, like I'm really starting to value like my own self and the quality of life that I want to experience. I want to experience something that feels, you know, very stable and sturdy and like solid. And but I'm hanging out with people that are doing a lot of like chaotic stuff, you know? Maybe I'm hanging out with people and all they want to do is go to the bar all the time. Or I'm in these social environments where all people want to do is like drink or party or like sex, drugs, rock and roll or something, you know? And it's like, that's not really aligning anymore with my heart and my soul and what I want to like express here in the world. Okay, so that could be like one situation. Now, another situation could be maybe you are very passionate about something and you are really looking at your social life around this time, your relationships with people, the environments that you hang out in, and maybe you're like trying to create something. Maybe you're trying to create a business or something. Again, this is just an example. Take what resonates, leave the rest. But you're speaking to people that aren't quite in alignment with what you're trying to do. And so you're starting to realize this. Or maybe you're not really trusting in other people's power and capability to handle shit on their own, and you feel like you've got to get involved and entangled in all their messiness. And it's starting to cause a lot of drama or emotional intensity or emotional chaos or whatever the issue may be. And so, you know, I think that this is a time period where you are either way looking at your social life and your social relationships, your social connections with people, and where they feel like they are in alignment with where you're going or what you truly want and desire on a heart and soul level versus where they're not. And this could also be like healing past relationships, healing past connections, old people coming back into your life for some reason or another. So it doesn't have to just be like misaligned people. It can also be very much aligned people or people that you used to have some kind of emotional attachment to. And now it's like you're letting that go, or people used to have a resentment on, or like a resentment for, or like a grudge, you know, and now it's like you're healing that, you're coming full circle with that. You're letting that go. You don't need, you know, to get even anymore or whatever the case may be. So these are a lot of the different examples that some of you guys could be experiencing with this new moon. Let me know down below, Capricorn rising, if that related to you. Comment down below, sexy Capricorn rising. If you stayed until here, I appreciate you. If you missed the beginning, go back and watch that. And we are going to be moving on to Aquarius rising. So for Aquarius risings, this new moon is happening in your 10th house of your career and your long-term goals, kind of your legacy, whatever you're building in your life on a very like public and, you know, worldly level, you know, like your reputation, your legacy. This can also deal with authority figures from time to time. So it's like, what are you doing in the world in your life? And so these are like, you know, topics that could have been coming up a lot here lately. And how is it influencing your finances? How is it influencing your day-to-day job, duties, responsibilities, routines? There's like a flow state that's really coming in here, but it's also releasing old stuff to do with your career. This could be facing old fears, facing old shame. This could be having really, you know, incredible emotional breakthroughs about your career and where you're headed and your direction. This could be bringing up power struggles and personal power topics in terms of your career or with authority figures or with, you know, again, where are you going and where have you been giving your power away? In terms of your direction and your life and what you're actually capable of. And so it's like, I really feel like you're rewriting something here to do with your career and to do with what you're capable of, especially with that grand water trine reaching down and accessing Saturn and Neptune in your second house. It's like you haven't quite trusted in your capabilities, or you haven't quite trusted in what you're actually capable of and what you can actually do and what you actually value. And so it's really kind of, I think, something like coming to a head here to do with your direction in life and to do with maybe some fear that you're facing or something to do with, you know, power struggles or whatever. That's really showing you a new way, that's showing you and also like helping you release something that has been keeping you stuck or feeling stagnant or holding you back in some way. So let me know down below, Aquarius rising, if that's resonating. Comment down below, sexy Aquarius rising. If you watched until here, I appreciate you guys. We're going to move on to Pisces rising. So for Pisces risings, this new moon is happening in your 9th house. So what I really get from this as a Pisces rising is you are coming to terms with how you see the world. And again, where you're outsourcing your power potentially in the world or with your beliefs, where you give certain concepts, certain context, certain perspectives, power which then could be creating old fears or triggering old things or bringing up old issues to do with yourself. This can definitely be a time where it's like there's a trigger of beliefs or belief systems or old beliefs even. This could be a time where you are making some big changes in terms of what you want to learn, what you think you're capable of, who you are and what you believe, and how much that impacts you as a person. Like, you're thinking more about what you want, and you're also seeing the world in new ways. It's like you're transforming how you see the world and what your visions are, what your principles are, what your actual perspective is on life, your beliefs, with this happening in the 9th house. I think that this could be bringing up, again, like it's like Mercury retrograde here is like rewriting the way that you view the world and rewriting it from a place of personal power rather than fear or old trauma or old stuff. And so I'm really seeing that for you as a Pisces rising. Let me know down below if that resonated. Comment down below, sexy Pisces rising, if you watched till here, because you are. And we're going to go ahead and move on to Aries rising. So for Aries risings, this new moon in Scorpio is happening in the 8th house. So this is definitely a time where you are going to be likely experiencing some kind of change. It's like some kind of deep personal change. Now, this change could be a lot of different things. It could show you where you are holding on to some old baggage that has been haunting you from the past, or it could be showing you where you haven't quite faced a certain fear that is limiting you, or it could be showing you where you have certain debts, whether they be karmic debts, financial debts, whatever it may be, that you have been not wanting to face or that you've been putting off. And this new moon is coming in to kind of rewrite this. Where have you been shackled by chains that you've placed on yourself because of the past? Especially with the grand trine to Saturn and Neptune in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. This looks like something that you are, like, I just keep feeling redemption for you as an Aries rising with this one. It's like this is a very karmic healing week for you. This is a process of really like claiming and owning up to maybe old things that didn't go your way, or old baggage, like old skeletons in the closet that it's like it's time to let go of them, things that you've been putting off, things that you didn't want to deal with, things that were kind of like out of sight, out of mind, personal, transactional relationships, emotional entanglements with other people as well, trust issues, things like this could really be coming up around this new moon. And it's all coming up to really show you what needs to be purged, what needs to be let go of, what needs to be rewritten, and how you're thinking about it, how you're perceiving it. If you missed the beginning, I went way more into depth into all that, and I really think you'd relate to it as an Aries rising. But this is definitely a time where it's like it's time to liberate and set free whatever has been causing you to feel stuck or held back, or not in some kind of alignment with either your values, your soul, your capabilities, your resources. It's like, where are you outsourcing your power? Scorpio as a sign is so much about where our power is going emotionally, energetically, psychologically. And so it's like, where have you been outsourcing your power, waiting for other things to change before you change? It's like this is the process of taking your personal power back in a lot of ways. And so definitely watch the beginning if you missed it as an Aries rising. Comment down below, sexy Aries rising, if you made it till here. I appreciate you. Let me know if that resonated down below. We are going to move on to Taurus rising. So for Taurus rising, this Scorpio new moon is happening in your 7th house, your opposite sign. So this is a really big deal for relationships. If you are a Taurus rising, this is kind of like potentially bringing up something that has been lingering or that's haunted you from the past, to do with other people or another person, or how it could even be like if you're single or you're not noticing this in your relationship, it could even be how other people see you, and just your relationship to having relationships in general, if that makes sense. Like just your relationship to people in general. So it's like what the external world expects of you versus, what you expect of you. And so, but this new moon is definitely bringing in like a time where it's like this could either be like a make or break time within a certain or specific relationship for you as a Taurus rising. This could easily be like resurrecting a relationship, or, reinventing yourself and a relationship, like a new beginning where you are kind of rewriting something from the past. But also it could also easily be like a moment of like, okay, I'm finally ready to let this person from my past go. I'm finally ready to let this thing go, or this relationship go, or like whatever. So there's a lot of like kind of emotional, psychological change going on in relationships. It could also be trust and issues around trust, issues around fear and betrayal and things like that, maybe from the past that are affecting your current relationship now. But either way, there's kind of this like massive emotional, social, and relational kind of paradigm that is coming to a close here in so many ways. And so it's like you could be having a lot of reflection right now on past relationships and relationships throughout your life, and your relationship with people throughout your life, and how it's affected you, and what baggage you've carried because of said relationships and said experiences. So anyways, let me know down below, Taurus rising, what you are noticing with the Scorpio new moon. I'd love to hear your feedback. Comment sexy Taurus rising down below. And we are going to move on to Gemini rising. So for Gemini risings, this new moon in Scorpio is happening in your 6th house of work, health, and day-to-day routines and lifestyle. This is like a new beginning that's rewriting something in the past, like I've been saying. And so this could definitely be happening in terms of you making some much needed changes, or getting something off your chest, or finally purging something, or facing a fear, or facing some old emotional shit, basically, in terms of your job, or in terms of your health, or in terms of your day-to-day routines, responsibilities, duties, task, where it's like, that it's like something needs to set you free. It feels like maybe speaking up about something, speaking a truth, or speaking from a vulnerable place, but it's like, I've got to do this because this has been subconsciously like keeping me stuck or trapped in some kind of way. So a lot of you guys may be experiencing something like that. For others of you, this could be like, shifting something in your day-to-day life that causes some kind of internal and emotional shift. So it's like, where have your habits been affecting you? Where have you kind of had toxic attachments to bad habits that are really like, holding you back from your bigger vision for the future, for the life that that you're here to build, from the legacy that you're here to create, from your dreams, from your capabilities? It's like you're really seeing how your habits, your health, your routines, and potential addictions are like holding you back right now, or are keeping you in this like stuck place. And so this is kind of a purging and cleansing energy, where it's like, okay, I need to let go of some of these old, emotional attachments, or toxic conflicts that I have going on either within me or outside of me in my day-to-day life, that are keeping me stuck, or that are keeping me in fight or flight, or that are keeping me in survival, or that are not allowing me to progress in the way that I want to progress in my life. And so let me know down below, Gemini, if that resonates. Comment down below, sexy Gemini rising. I'd love to hear your feedback. We're going to move on to Cancer rising. So for Cancer risings, this Scorpio new moon is happening in your 5th house. So a lot to do with love and the heart, pleasure and romance, but also fun, entertainment, and sexuality. And so these are a lot of the themes that you could be seeing come up this week with this new moon. It's also creating a grand water trine to your sign and Pisces in your 9th. So there's definitely a lot coming up here with trust, relationships, the heart, love, romance, and entertainment, fun, and also your beliefs and your worldviews, and your own sense of self and identity and vitality. It's like all kind of tying in here. And so there could be a lot coming up here in terms of where you have had certain negative attachments to, or negative views around love or sexuality, or trust, or even romance, or entertainment, fun, where you may go too far, or may look at things in a certain way that are not healthy for you, or healthy for your relationship, or healthy for your love life. And so this is really like the breakdown of whatever is like kind of clogging up, your heart space, like the breakdown of whatever old beliefs, old muck, old emotional stuff is like really clogging up, your heart and what is true for you, your internal compass. Mercury is retrograding back here, and it's like you are revisiting, some old emotional pains that have maybe caused you to shut off your heart or not trust, or maybe you're dealing with like a purge of sorts, and where you try to escape pain or cover up pain or not feel pain in some way, shape, or form. Or, for some of you, like where you've got like addicted to feeling some type of pain and it's now causing some kind of suffering in your love life or in your life in general, or like whatever the case may be, or even in your day-to-day work, health, day-to-day routines. Either way, it's like you're redefining what is fun for you, what is pleasurable for you, and like really your sense of love and your connection to your heart and all of that. So that is what I see coming up here for this new moon for you. If you're a Cancer rising, let me know down below if that resonated with you. And we are going to move on to Leo risings. So for my fellow Leo risings, this Scorpio new moon is happening in our 4th house of home, family, our personal and private lives. So we're definitely going to be feeling like there is more of an internal focus. There's more of a pull down happening where it's a little bit less about our public lives and where we're headed in the world and what we're doing in the world, although that's still there somewhat because this new moon is opposing Uranus. But it's like, to get there, we've got to deal with kind of this last thing from the past, or last few things maybe for some people in the past. Like there's a few more skeletons in the closet that are really holding us back from feeling safe foundationally, or from feeling like we are able to trust our current level, our current foundation. And so there's like something going on here where it's like, this Scorpio new moon and Mercury retrograding back into Scorpio. It's like, before I can follow my heart, before I can follow my passion, before I can really, have my vision and move forward on my vision, I need to really truly understand a few more things. I need to understand this last thing I feel shame about that's really holding me back, or this last fear that I have that's really creating a limitation for me, or this last emotional attachment that I have, or some family thing that's going on, or something that roots back, or something along those lines. It's like there's a situation internally, or with family, or with ourselves, or with our past, or within our private and personal lives, or that's affecting our private and personal lives, that we really have to deal with here. And that's going to set us free in so many ways. It's like a healing journey within itself. It's going to create so much lightness. It's going to help us let go of the baggage. It's going to help us, find some kind of, healing, some kind of releasing, some kind of like freedom from the past, freedom from the things that have been, holding us back or anchoring us too much into pressure, conflict, fight or flight, scarcity, fear, whatever the case may be. And so these are the things that we're really going to see coming up for this Scorpio new moon. If you missed the first half, definitely go back and watch that. But it's like, I have this quote that's like, build your castle with the stones that they threw at you. Because it's like, life is going to be life. Like you're not always going to be able to control what cards you're dealt or the raw material that life gives you, but you can control what you choose to create with it. And so this is a time where we're really doing a lot of past work, where we're working on past timelines, so that, because how we feel about those past timelines in the present is creating healing and our connection with it. It's either trauma or healing, depending on our connection to it. So if we can turn that trauma into healing and no longer feel like there is this negative attachment that we have to the past, or these negative feelings we have about the past that are keeping us kind of stuck there and not really truly moving forward because of what happened in the past, we've got to feel that and heal that so that we can move towards our future. And that's so much of what this new moon is about. So let me know down below, my fellow Leo risings, if that resonated. Comment down below, sexy Leo rising, because you are. If you missed the beginning, go back and watch. And also, if you're not my membership, you definitely need to join. The link is down below. But also, I have a free masterclass coming up that you're not going to want to miss. Also, link down below. And we're going to move on to Virgo rising. So for my lovely Virgo risings, this new moon is happening in your third house, which is a very interesting place for this new moon. This could definitely be a mix of different things because it's the third house, so it's like so many different things, but you could definitely see this new moon and remnants of this new moon coming up in terms of your environment, your day-to-day lifestyle, the day-to-day places, people, and things that you're around or that you frequent, but also your relationships with other people and your connections with other people. So this is a very social new moon, but it's also bringing up potentially like siblings, cousins, neighbors, relatives, community, and your local town and city. Can also bring up transportation, short travel, short trips, sometimes car troubles with the third house. But either way, it's almost like there's something coming around here where you are addressing experiences from the past to do with some of these things that I've mentioned in some way, where you are like readdressing or rewriting or rethinking a story, rethinking the meaning of what you've maybe attached to something from the past, or rethinking your relationships or connections or the environments that you've been in with other people in some way. There's some kind of like, revelation or breakthrough that could really happen here in terms of communication, in terms of also, your connections with other people, your social connections, your social life, your environment, your location. There's so much that that this new moon can kind of go into. You may also be like really exploring new places or going back to old places, going back to old locations, going kind of visiting different environments and things like that could really bring up a lot of like breakthroughs or epiphanies, or being around other people could bring up a lot of breakthroughs or epiphanies. But either way, there's some kind of, revelation here. And I think with the third house as well, it can really be about like our skills. And it can also be about, alternative spiritual practices. So this could also be a time where you're really leaning into maybe something that is from the past, like something you've kind of leaned into before, like learning a new skill that maybe got a pause in the past, or going back to an old skill, or going back to like certain beliefs or alternative practices. This could really be a time that you're really exploring that and having some kind of like emotional breakthrough. Like this would be a really great new moon to do a ritual for. We're actually going to be doing a ceremony in my membership for this new moon. But yeah, this is definitely kind of like addressing potential inner conflicts, the voice, like certain voices in your head that are maybe keeping you stuck, or even addressing certain actual people around you, environments and people, places, and things around you in some way, shape, or form, but also like rewriting something from the past. And so let me know down below, Virgo risings, what you guys are experiencing for this new moon. I'm really interested to know, and comment down below, sexy Virgo rising. And we are going to move on to Libra rising. So for Libra risings, this new moon is happening in your second house in the sign of Scorpio. So this is definitely a time where you're rewriting something from the past to do with your capabilities, values, priorities, finances, money, assets, and your resources pretty much. And so this is so much about your internal resources and where you outsource your power, where you give things power, and kind of setting yourself free from that in a lot of ways, breaking through that. Like it's kind of like the breakdown of maybe an old perspective, an old belief that you've had about yourself, or old shame, old guilt, old remorse, old resentment, to do with what you're capable of, or to do with your finances, or to do with your resources, or to do with your priorities, your values in some way. And so this is like a time where it's like you are reclaiming what you're capable of and the power that you do have, and really shifting from like shame into power, or blame into back into power in some kind of way. Like this is really showing you, I think, what you're capable of and how you can use your own like kind of God-given talents, resources, capabilities, abilities to actually achieve something bigger than I think what you're even realizing in this moment. And so I really feel like this new moon can be a very, very powerful new moon for you if you're a Libra rising. It's really showing you, like, in a lot of ways, with being in the second house, like what you're capable of, and with your chart ruler being there as well, like how to really resolve these like things that you may push under the rug and find acceptance with them, find love in them, and release them so that you can really like move to your next level, so that you can really truly upgrade and move to your next level. The things like, again, like what are you making certain things mean? Like what's the story you're attaching to certain situations, and that's kind of creating maybe shame or resistance or conflict or whatever the case may be. And so that is what I'm seeing for you, Libra risings. Let me know down below how that resonates. Comment down below, sexy Libra rising. If you watched till here, I appreciate you. If you missed the beginning, go back and watch it. Thank you guys so much for watching. That is the end of this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.